there's a lot of shit out there that I could get to today, and it'll make for like a massive 25-minute episode. I think how they always go for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, how the fuck did this come out to be like 25 minutes? But I guess, you know, it is what it is. There's 3 of them, and obviously I'm not in that league. But number 1 ranked intern, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, more so, what I took away, you know, from that other than that was Mike. This son of a bitch, like, he attempts to stick up for the show, and he just can't give a compliment. Like, he, you know, Kirk saying, oh, you know, don't do this, don't do that, and he goes, no, but the show the other day wasn't bad. Like, you can't just say it was good, asshole. Like, he did the same thing with, I think it was Mamma Mia's, where he's like, yeah, it's decent. Like, just say it's good. Just, even if you fucking white lie a little bit, just fucking say it's a little, just make me feel better, okay? And I didn't even make decent. I think Mamma Mia's got decent, and Mamma Mia's can fucking kill you. So, like, but I mean, I'll touch on the mailing list episode last night a little bit more later. But I actually, it's really weird for me that I would rather start with this instead. I guess just because it's probably the biggest story in the fucking country, and I'm not even sure how much there is to say about it. Like, now, last night when I was prepping for this, it just goes to show you how quick, like, fucking things change really, really fast. But, so first, like, the weirdest thing that I saw was this fucking L. Duncan tweet, you know what, that I'm gonna get to in a second. You know, it I guess this is what I'm talking about, it changes, because now I have, like, a Liz Wheeler tweet pulled up, a Jamel Hill tweet pulled up. There's a ton of them, so hold on, I'm gonna screenshot these really quick, make sure I don't lose these fucking gems. And I'll get to the L. Duncan one first. And I had tweeted it out last night, which I know nobody follows me anyway. Warden of the North, fuck you for pointing that out. Here, let's see. Nope, that's Ellie Schnitt. L. Duncan. Sad to have to even say this, but Bubba remains a victim in this. He didn't find, report, or announce the news of a noose. NASCAR did. And if you're delighting in this because it wasn't a hate crime, think about what that says about you. Relief is the proper response, not smugness. Well, first off, that immediately fucking contradicts itself, because if you're delighting in this because it wasn't a hate crime, how is that not relief? Like, I do know that there are some assholes about there, you know, who are smug about it. They're like, but I mean, again, a lot of people just look at this stuff and they don't fucking believe it anymore, just because I don't, like, you know, they said last night it's not small, and they're right, it's not. But there's been a lot of these in the past where, like, you know, and that's why Kirk wants to have somebody like an L. Duncan on to talk about it. And you don't just take these people at their fucking word. When was that I know that probably became a thing with, like, the Me Too movement, but why is that all of a sudden the thing now? And I really don't want to do it, because I know a lot of people don't like the guy or whatever, and a lot of people think he's an idiot and he's a fucking loser and all this other stuff. But, like, Alex Jones says this all the fucking time. Like, is he a crazy person? Yes. But, like, also, why is questioning things now? Like, you're not even allowed to question things. And that is, to me, kind of when you realize that there's a problem. Like, there's a light switch that's not fucking turning on. It's just, something's not fucking right.
You know what? Let's not be pussies.
Okay. Thank you, Alex.
I'm not gay, but Eddie's good looking.
Anything else, Alex?
You better choke me out.
Okay, all right, I will do. Okay. That podcast, there's been a lot of great Kirk episodes. I've personally never... That Joe Rogan, Alex Jones podcast is my favorite of all time. But anyway, I forget somebody had tweeted this out, but it's almost like they want these stories to be true. Like, you're supposed to not want these things to happen, but it's almost like people want these things to happen because they want to play like the victim. Or I assume they just want to prove that racism still exists. I don't think that there's any fucking idiot out there, I shouldn't say even on the furthest right wing, but there's 99% of people recognize that there's still fucking racism in the country. There's a lot of people who disagree on the level, or the amount of racism that's still in the country, the degree of racism that's still in the country. But why on earth would you want to make that point at somebody else's expense? That is so fucked up. And it's like the same thing. I found this, somebody had randomly retweeted this, and of course I had my initial response was that, like, oh, this has to be fake. They put out like a tweet from AOC that was like, oh, we got to keep everything closed down until after November just to make sure Trump doesn't get... I guess I had to cut out that burp now. It's derivative, whatever. You know, we don't want to have the economy recover because Trump will get reelected. And somebody put out in like this dumb weird thing. It was like, she deleted it, but not before it was shared over 20,000 times. And it was fake. And I put it out kind of knowing, I said, does anybody know if this is true? And this is the real thing. I was like, the saddest part is that it doesn't, like, it wouldn't even surprise me at this point. Like, if these people are just looking to defend fucking crazy. So, like, when she puts out something like that, her base is just immediately like, and it's fucking insane, I guess, the amount of just, there's no open-mindedness at all. There's nobody who can, like, or I shouldn't say there's nobody, but there's not a lot of people, especially in fucking media, who can just look at something fucking objectively. Like, I'd like to think that I'm somewhat of an open-minded individual. I've retweeted stuff from AOC I thought she said was smart. I fucking retweeted, I wasn't really on Twitter, but like, I've seen things that Donald Trump has said, and that makes sense. I've seen stuff that fucking literally every politician has said, and said, I don't really care if you identify D, R, whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, if it's a good point, I agree with it. And honestly, every single fucking media outlet is biased. If you think the one you're watching isn't, you're a fucking idiot. Like, it's just, are some less biased than others? Yes, but like, just fuck off with your straw man arguments. Like, just acknowledge that everything you see is fucking manipulated in some way, shape, or form. Just look at the fucking headlines of breaking news at the bottom. So Liz Wheeler put out this thing that says it was not a noose, but Jemele Hill used this fake news as justification to call all fans of NASCAR racist. Hill originally called the fake news report. They see like just, and it turned out, I don't even want to say it turned out to be fake news. It shouldn't have been fucking talked about until the investigation happened. Like, I know we live in a social media world where everything's like instant gratification, but like, you have to do the legwork first. It's just whatever. She had called the report a stunning, shocking, appalling, disgusting reminder of who the sport is for. Now, that's what Kirk was talking about on his show yesterday, or the mailing list show. There will be no repercussions for that. She even put out a tweet to fucking double down on it. Like, she can't just... I have no idea why people just can't admit they're wrong. When I fuck up on something, I say it all the time. I'm a shithead. I'm an idiot. I fucked that up. I was wrong on this. Like, it just... she tweeted this in response. She tweeted out NASCAR's statement, which literally totally, by all means, just made her look even stupid, like more dumb to me. Like, she put it in response, it was a noose. They just don't believe it was directed at Bubba Wallace. Know your facts, fuck off, John from Scranton. I know facts nor context is your strong suit, but try to keep up. I am fucking struggling to read this morning, Jesus Christ. And the NASCAR statement was the FBI has completed its investigation, yada, 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 that Bubba was not a target of hate crime. The FBI report... Fuck off, dude. Jesus Christ, I'm recording. The FBI report concludes, and photographic evidence confirms that the garage door pull rope fashioned like a noose. What the fuck? Like... So I think Mike did say, I fucking hate quoting Mike, but I have to give him credit when he says it first. So like, why is any rope now with a fucking circle on it? Like, are Boy Scouts creating nooses? Like, it makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And it's like, this is the reason that I always say that I'm just going to end up buying like a little piece of property isolated from everybody on the fucking planet and just never disappear from planet Earth. Because it's like, if you let this stuff, and it's like the more that, normally I wouldn't even pay attention to stuff like this, but because I know it's like a nationwide story, it's the biggest story in the country, and I'm doing a show to talk about it, I have to get involved in it. And like, you kind of, I never wanted to be one of those people who doesn't pick a fucking side, like, who is like, oh, just here's this, here's the story, you came here for an opinion, but here it is. Like, I don't know, there should be a fucking place for that. There should just be a regular news outlet where you can just see the story without bias, but I'm not a fucking news reporter. So let's see, what else do we have here from her? The FBI report concludes, and so does photographic evidence, that the garage door pull rope fashioned like a noose. That doesn't mean it is a noose just because something fucking looks like a noose or a semblance of a fucking noose. You idiot. And I think the weirdest part is the fact that, and there's so many fucking levels of weird and crazy, because I always say, I'm like, oh, this is the weirdest part, this is the craziest part. It's just, it's literally impossible to fucking keep up now. Like, just because I say something like this, where I just wanted the facts to come out, I just wanted to wait to see what happened, there's I don't even want to say original skepticism, because I don't even fucking care. Like, it's okay to be naturally skeptic, and I'll get to that in a second, but like, I just want to know what happened. Like, and even for NASCAR to put out this statement that it's fashioned like a noose, okay, is that really pleading to their fucking base, Jemele Hill? Like, you had somebody fly a Confederate flag over one of the racetracks the other day. Is that, like, how is that pleading to their fucking base? She's, like, somebody like her with 1.2 million followers, like, I really try hard to see the other side of these things. I really fucking do, because I like to think that I'm progressive and open-minded, but now, because somehow I don't agree with that, you're labeled like a right-wing extremist, which is insane. And of course, everybody again throws the racist word out. And you know what? I'll say this again. It's just the magic word of intent. Like if you only, here's my thing. If you only question racist scenarios, so I always say it's great to question everything. But if you're only going to question something in a racist scenario, or if it's like, you know, like a Smollett or, you know, Bubba, if you're only going to question things in that scenarios, yeah, it's a little racist to ask questions because you're literally picking issues that only involve race and picking, you know, what somebody would call, what somebody would call the wrong side of history. And the reason I don't, you know, determine it that way is because I question fucking everything. If you naturally question any story, like, especially when things may not add up or you just want to wait for the facts to come out, you know, you're not racist. I'm going to give you fucking permission because everybody's looking for, like, approval. You don't have to immediately tweet something out and call it racist, especially if you're not going to fucking retract it. Like, everybody's looking for approval to just be like, you know, can I, you would tweet at somebody like a Jamel Hill if she ever replied back and you just be like, hey, can I just, like, wait a couple days and see what happens? She would be like, no, racist. And you're just like, what? Like, tell them to fuck off at this point. Like, or even just call them racist back, because I mean apparently the word has no meaning anymore, and that's thanks to fucking idiots like you. Like, it just, people forget. You know, I said this I think on the Token DJK episode, where it's like they've just lost the total fucking meaning of racist. And it's just, you know, I've said since 2017 this country's headed for another civil war, and I hate to get into fucking politics, but I just, because I like to think, I would like to consider myself an independent, partial person, and I am. Like, but there is just such a divide. There's lunatics on every fucking side. The right wing is fucking crazy. The left wing is fucking crazy. And the problem is the media, I've always said this, and I talked to, you know, one of my buddies who, you know what, I've been talking to him a ton more since everything happened with George Floyd, because I ask him questions. I'm like, how can I help? I don't fucking post about it on social media saying, oh, hey, look, here's my text message conversation with my friend, or, oh, hey, here's books you can read, Ellie. I just fucking do it. Like, I'm not looking to pander to somebody. It's just, but I was talking to him, and I was like, you know, and we came to a fucking agreement that, like, you know, whether it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, all these people just, and they do it because it makes money. I mean, they have to sell advertisements. It's a business. But the problem is it's dangerous just because you're claiming to be a news organization. Like, so when you just, Fox is only, when they're attacking the left, they're only going to show the left-wing extremists. And CNN is only going to show the right-wing extremists. Whereas, like, literally 95% of the fucking population lies in the middle and can agree on most things. Or even if it's like 75%, it's not, like, extremists are not nearly as fucking prominent as the media makes it out to be. Is there a lot of them? Yeah, I mean, even if there's you know, millions, that's a lot of people, but there's over fucking 350 million people in the country. Like, and so it's easy to glorify because there's still like 3 million of them on each side or whatever. You can say, oh, well, look at how many people are doing this and look how many people are doing this. Percentage-wise, it's not a huge percent of the population. Oh, God. I guess this is going to turn out to be a long segment, whatever. Kirk was, I think he said in the subscription show, mailing subscription show, whatever. He was kind of mad, and there was a lot of people mad at Bubba Watson for not just saying like, hey, let things play out first. Here's what I initially had in my prep, because I want to show you my initial reaction versus, you know, when I was prepping this out, some like news that actually came out. He went on CNN and talked about it. So my initial reaction was, I can't get mad at him not, you know, saying, hey, let things play out, because I mean, yeah, he could have questioned it, but I just think he's ignorant. Like, he just believes what people tell him. And in this case, that can really fucking, sorry, I had to cut out a burp. He's just believing what people are telling him, and like, my guess would be, let me give him the benefit of the doubt to see if he would do it on non-racial issues. You know, I would think that, actually first, let me play a cut from last night's subscription show.
It's just unfortunate circumstances and in a terrible time that we're in right now. Year 2020 will be one year to for sure forget moving forward. But you know, it's simple-minded people like that, the ones that are afraid of change. They use everything in their power to defend what they say.
So that's my thing, is he went on and talked about it, and this has been out for, you know, I think it was the whole first day it came out. You now need to own that. Now, I would say if he doesn't, like if he just comes out and fucking ignores it, then he's gone, then he's a lost cause. But like, it's also just as hypocritical, I feel like, to assume what his response was going to be without the proof. So, because I believe in the follow-up, Kirk had said something along the lines of, well, he's got to do this and he's not going to do it. I don't want to just assume that, I should say I didn't, he ended up doing it, but I didn't want to just assume. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt to come out and say, hey, we were wrong. And that's not what he did. But I mean, like, I feel like it's hypocritical to not give somebody that opportunity, because the same way, people jumped at this thing saying, oh, it's a noose, it's a noose, it's a noose. You're kind of jumping on him saying, apologize, and you haven't really given him ample time to do so. So, I mean, but he did end up coming out and talking about it. And let me see if I can pull that clip up. Hold on. Oh, my apologies. This is just a tweet. So it says, I've been racing all my life. We've raced out of hundreds of garages that never had garage pulls like that. It's a straight up noose. Bubba Wallace on Don Lemon. Fuck off. Like, it is fucking incredible. Like, you are officially brainwashed. If you believe that that's a fucking noose, I'm just gonna, and this is, the crazy thing is this is somehow gonna come off as the R word. Like, you are a fucking idiot. I really thought that, like, the whole, Steve had made a joke on the mailing list show last night. He was like, no, I'm already seeing people starting to come out and double down on this. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, he's probably just seen like 2 tweets. And then the fucking center guy behind it all decides, no, it was a noose. And it's just like right on fucking schedule. And now all the fucking media people are going to roll with it. They're going to say, well, people are saying it's not a noose, but it's got a circle. It's a rope with a circle on it. It's like, was he trying to strangle a fucking mouse? Like, it is. All right. I think it's time to move on. You know what? Actually, no, not without this, because I wrote this down, and somebody I used to watch all the time. I'm not watching them as much anymore. FS1, Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Shannon Sharp tweets out fucking shit all the time. He didn't eat his crow. Jamel Hills, the Globes, none of these people are going to eat their shit. And side note, I know it would make Kirk like miserable, but because I think he talked about at one point, he had or he was like applying for Max Kellerman's job. In a reverse world, I would have loved to seen him with fucking like Shannon Sharp on like that sports debate show, or now like what's kind of turning into a political show. It just would have been like fireworks, and Kirk would just absolutely verbally and logically annihilate him. But Shannon also says good stuff. Like, there's been stuff he says that I agree with a lot. That's why, I really do try to look at both sides of the issue. He's taught me a lot. But then there's other times where it's just like, I always say they go too far. And that's when somebody like Kirk is there to call him out on it. Sheesh, that went on longer than I thought it was going to. And I have a fucking doctor's appointment soon, Jesus. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a reaction to last night's mailing list show in particular. Like, I know I talked about how they talked about the NASCAR stuff, but this is going to be more so like what the fuck is going on with Barstool.
A couple hours go by, and then Dave calls me, and he's like, why did you do that? I'm like, why did I do what? He said, why did you quote tweet the fact that we deleted a tweet? And I was like, I don't know, because it was funny to me. I was shitting on K. Marco. He's like, K. Marco had nothing to do with that. I was like, well, I know. I'm doing that because I hate him, and I'm fucking around. As you said, you told me I could fuck around with K. Marco's.
To me, the fact that Dave is now doing this, where he's making calls over tweets, honestly, you want to talk about eating crow? I'm eating crow for Monday's fucking episode. Like, saying that it was repairable with Barstool, these people... It's easy now, I guess, on our side to just say they fucking changed. But, I mean, Dave Portnoy is really going to call somebody over a tweet. And, yes, I get the fucking business aspect side of it where he's saying, we wanted this gone. Well, maybe you shouldn't have fucking put it out, dipshit. Like, it's just, and now, so it's like, Mike had even said later in the show, well, now I'm thinking, when I press send on my Twitter account, am I doing something that's going to get us canceled or, get us thrown off Barstool or get us fired? Well, honestly, at this point, they're just looking for a fucking reason. So, like, I think eventually... Maybe even, they had joked that they think they're going to come back to Barstool at the end of this vacation. And maybe they will, but I have some cuts later where it's like, I just think this vacation is going to turn into just going straight into subscription. It is fucking incredible. And you know what? I really cut Barstool some fucking slack for saying they're not Entercom and they're not EEI. But I'll at least say this. EEI, they would call Kirk behind the scenes, but they wouldn't acknowledge it. They would pretend that it doesn't exist. Dave is pretending like, oh, we're going to let Kirk speak freely and we're going to let him do what he wants. But then he calls him behind the scenes. Like, to me, that's almost worse because he's putting off this front, like, oh, we're this open company. Like, we let you say and do what you want. And then you make calls behind the scenes. It's a pussy move, and it's censorship. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, oh, we're the place where everybody gets to say what they want, and then behind everybody's backs, if it's not like Kirk for somebody saying that these phone calls happen, that, he's really, I hate to say it because, you know, Entercom drove Kirk fucking insane, but I'm getting to the point where they're no better. Like, the more and more that comes out, the more and more I realize how much is going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. That just makes Barstool look fucking pathetic. You can't be this company where you pretend to be as open as a book, and then behind the scenes you make all these fucking phone calls, and it's just disingenuous to your audience. It's just like, it's total disrespect. And when you find out something like this from, you know, fortunately we have Kirk, you know, it just makes you look like shit. Oh, you know, one thing I want to say before I continue on that note, I know Kirk had made a fair amount of reference saying, oh, like, you know, DJK is going after Kevin pretty hard, and, you know, or, you know, KFC pretty hard and all this other stuff. I'm just saying, and he thinks that, you know, it's like, it might be some hyperbole stunt or whatever. Like, no, like, I am just, my genuine judgment of the guy from just seeing what I see on YouTube. I don't know the guy, you know, but I would just say, be careful, Kirk. Like, I genuinely do believe that this guy is going to backstab you at some point. And I mean, Kirk has private conversations with him, and he texts him all the time. So maybe there's totally, I'm going to throw that out there with there's a lot of stuff that I don't probably know about. I just, for some reason, every time I watch this motherfucker, he looks fake as hell to me. So just like, you know, Kirk's had a lot of issues with people not being loyal in the past. Just watch out is all I'd say. My prediction is he will stab you in the back one day. And then this is probably my favorite cut from the whole fucking episode. It just shows Barstool is just fucking, like, they don't have a clue anymore. Go ahead.
Or he means things me and Steve retweet maybe? I don't know.
Because I was talking the other day, it's like you retweet people who hate Barstool.
This is what I'm talking about. You retweet people who hate Barstool. Okay. And you let somebody infiltrate your own fucking company through the front door. Like, you retweet people who hate Barstool, and you literally put somebody who hates your company on your website. You dumbass! Like, it's just, I don't get how there's so many dumb people out there with so much money, and how he built this fucking company. I don't know if he's changed or if he's been this fucking stupid all along. It's just, I know there's a lot of frustration at Barstool, and a lot of people think that I fucking exaggerate things for, like, to just yell and scream and whatever. It's like, this is genuine, man. Like, this is not what anybody thought Barstool Sports was. Like, it's just, times have fucking changed, I'll say that. And they talked about it again last night, where it's just, they've offered no peace to the Minifans. They want nothing to do with them. They've still given them no invitation. Like, no, they don't want anything to do with them. They're still fucking crazy. They're still losers. Like, again, why would I spend any money at your company? Why would I support you? Why would I put money in your pocket? It's just, it is fucking time for subscription. And I think a lot of people are leaning that way. And we'll grow the show. And if I'm a part of that, great. If not, good luck. And I will be a strong fucking supporter of the show, listen to it, and still tell all my fucking friends to listen to it. Just because, like, this show has a future. I'll say that. Whether it's with Barstool or not, this show has a very big future. And then Steve went on to say, like, he got fired. He was, like, almost fired for a minute or something like that. I'll play it in case, for some reason, if you haven't watched the Mailing List show, I would presume if I'm playing second fiddle to that, which makes sense. But I will say, you know, compared to, it almost looked like I'm not a fan of these home setups either. Like, you know, Mike and Steve are different. You know, they have, like, you know, Steve had a nice little aesthetic background and a condenser microphone. Mike has his condenser microphone. Kirk just has, like, and of course, Kirk is the richest of anybody. And I say the same thing, whether it's ESPN, CBS fucking News, or Kirk. Like, what? You guys are millionaires. Like, you've made millions of dollars in your career, or you're a multi-million-dollar company. I'm a fucking, the most money I've ever made in my life is $40,000 in a year. And I have a fucking Bed Bath & Beyond setup with a condenser microphone. Like, how on earth is somebody who's been a media juggernaut for a fucking decade, how do you not have a home studio setup? Like, it's not that expensive. It's not that difficult to set up. And it just, if you're going to put out a remote show like this, where, you know, there's been a shit ton of news organizations doing it just because of, the, you know, obviously the virus and everything else, like, be professional about it. Like, I don't know, it drives me fucking crazy. And there's a lot of people in the comments too saying, what the fuck is, like, Kirk sounds raspy, sounds this, and it's like, it's because he's literally recording off his phone. Like, I don't know. But I went on a fucking tangent. Play the cut of Steve somehow being almost fired.
And so I texted him in the morning and I said, hey, is this actually real? Do you need to talk? And he said, yeah.
Really quick, that must be really funny to have to explain to your boss, where you're like, no, because he's like, Dave has been like, why would you not think that this is serious? And he's like, well, no, it might have been a fake Minifan calling me at midnight or texting me from a spoof number. Thank you.
So he called me, and he's pissed at me for Friday, for basically the first 20 minutes of the show, and he's laying at my feet the entire thing with trying to disrupt that conference. So he's saying his issue with me was printing off that email and putting it on your desk.
Right.
He's
So
basically saying that I should take blame.
And again, I'll stop this for a second. Of course, the immediate response is, "Hey, Steve, we're gonna think about firing you," versus just that little wow, I can't talk. Finger pointing. And, like where if it's K Marco or anybody, any other idiot at the company who, and again, they talked about last night how they're not actually in the red. Dave's just a fucking idiot. And he did it for entertainment purposes, and that's fine, hopefully. But Schnitt Talk's not going to take that and fucking run with it as a victory. And it's just, but, somebody like K Marco gets the, hey, you shouldn't have done that. The person who puts up the fucking Twitter of throwing a fucking firecracker or a bomb inside, whatever the fuck it was, inside of a building, they get a, hey, knock that off. That's not good. And Steve and the craziest part about it is this is days after, like, the guys are almost getting fired while they're on vacation. Like, at this point, what that tells me, you have to think of the brain, the thought process to text Steve at 10:30 at night and say, hey, we need to talk. This was Friday's show, and it's now, I think he's talking about it's Monday at the time, or even, it might have even been Tuesday, I'm not sure. That's 3-4 days later. Like, why are we still talking about, like, he's literally looking for a reason to fire them. And on a serious note, Kirk said he knew who that person was who put out that tweet, I believe. And hopefully I have the sound of there was a point, and maybe I just misinterpreted it, and hopefully I have the sound to back it up. Because I just don't like to throw shit out there without having the sound to show what I'm talking about. There was a point where it almost sounded like, he, because he knew the person who did it, but he didn't want to say it, and perhaps that's out of a fear of repercussion or a phone call from Dave, or or maybe just Kirk wanted to keep the dudes. Maybe he didn't want people going after him, which is, I don't know, a little contrarian to what we're used to. And again, I'm not on the whole ruin somebody's life train, but when you do something, just fucking drilled my hand on my desk, holy shit. But no, when you do something, you should be held accountable for it. So post-looking, I don't have the sound for it, which fucking sucks. But I am going to leave it in there just because, I don't know, maybe somebody else heard it. Maybe they can address it. Maybe they know what I'm talking about. I think it's something worthy of note. Because if they're now, hesitant to talk about things because of repercussions, it's time to fucking go. I genuinely don't believe the show is just going to make the end of vacation. Nor do I think they should. I had said I wanted them to kind of mooch off Barstool's platform. Everybody at Barstool now, sales isn't going to sell for them. The fucking Twitter accounts, all the people who, use the promo avenues to promote, who would have the opportunity to promote the show in general, other than myself, they're not going to give them any promotion. We're going to have to do all of our own self-promotion, and we're going to have to get this thing off the ground anyway, because Barstool's not going to talk about it. The only incentive you have is keeping Kirk in the news, by him throwing shade at Barstool people. But again, that's not beneficial either, because yeah, sure, people will see what Kirk is talking about, but Barstool's going to shit on Kirk, and all the stoolies are going to hate him anyway. They're not going to want to listen to his stuff. So it's, at this point, honestly, I'm obviously not in their position. They have paychecks on the line. I totally get all that stuff. At the end of this vacation, I would just say, honestly, fuck off. Just shake hands and call it a day. And, I really thought it was going to work. I really thought when they first signed it was a match made in fucking heaven. And it's just, Dave's a fucking dick, and he's canceling his own fucking shows. They're changing. The problem is this is what happens when you grow a company, and he did an amazing job growing the company. There's no doubt about that. He did an amazing job growing the company, but what happens is now where he had a finger on everything that was, he was the final approval before something went up, or, he had an inner circle where it's only 10 people working in a building. You can monitor things a lot closely. Now, when you expand to 260 employees, you now have to hire people to do that for you. And if the people who do those jobs for you are fucking incompetent, this is what you get. And there are a lot of people in our YouTube comments. There's a lot of people who shit on us, but I gotta stop saying us. I'm not technically a part of it. I mean, I'm an intern, so I guess I'm a part of the show, but I'm not on the show. So they shit on them. But there's also a lot of people who are saying, what the fuck is up with Barstool, man? Like, this is not the Barstool I remember. And it's not. They had this other cut. I'll play this in a second, where Steve just basically told Portnoy, no, fuck off. I'm not taking any responsibility for it, which is a ballsy fucking move when you have 6-figure salary on the line. Hold on.
I didn't understand his reasoning. And when he asked, like, so you don't accept any blame for this? I said, no.
That's funny to me. And shout out to him. Yeah, shout out. You sound like a fucking DJ. Good for him for sticking up for himself and saying, no, like, I'm not just going to cave to you because you're my boss. This is what I fucking believe in, and I shouldn't be held responsible for this. Like, fuck off. Like, and, he made a great point afterwards, which I wish he made on the phone, but Dave's not going to care anyway. When somebody has their mind made up, they have their mind made up. Where he was like, okay, so if I put a story... or even a different example, what if he put a song, printed out a rap lyric song and it had, the N-word on it, and he accidentally read the N-word. And of course, they could just edit it out, but they were on YouTube, so that was the problem. But so does Steve take responsibility for that? Like, do you want him to just go, every article he prints out, do you want him to scan by it word for word and white out the words he doesn't want Kirk to use? That's just it's so dumb. It sucks, because I really wanted to keep the show light and try to keep it funny, but it's just... I'm not. I guess I'm not in a good mood with all this stuff. Like I want, and it's not that the show's not, but I want it to be successful. I want it to be growing, which it is. But I just hate all this controversy, and I can only imagine it, for the guys who are actually on the show, Steve, Kirk, and Mike. Like they must be like, just, this is fucking with their careers and with livelihoods. Salaries are on the line. I mean, I know they have a solid base, and even if they had to go to a subscription service, they can pay. Obviously they can pay bills, they can do all that stuff. But like, it's a shitty situation. One thing I hear from, whether it's on the Rundown or any of these other fucking Barstool idiots, is I hear Dave always saying, Kirk just can't let it go. He keeps talking about it every single day he's bringing it up. Okay, well, guess what, asshole? A lot of your fucking podcasts don't come out daily, and a lot of them don't talk for 2.5 hours a day. Your other shows aren't even on that fucking level. So if we put out a clip, or if I put out a clip, I'll say on the YouTube channel of something where he's talking about K Marco, because I know it'll do well, it'll perform well, it'll get clicks, it'll get comments, it'll get engagement. He'll talk about that for 10 minutes in a show that's literally hundreds of minutes a day. So again, it's like he's just picking that whole extremist point of view where he's taking this small percentage of a 2.5 hour show, and he's like, oh, well, you just can't let it go. He spends his whole show talking about it. Well, maybe if you actually paid attention to the show, you would know that's not the case, and they took phone calls for an hour and a half later. I mean, you wouldn't know, because maybe if you saw that Donald Trump called, you would fucking censor it anyway. It's just, I'm just over these guys. Fuck, there's a lot of shit I still want to get to, but we're already almost 39 minutes into this. I know I'm going to cut it up, and it'll probably come to maybe 32-ish or something like that. Speaking of which, this is not a vacation for those guys at all. Still putting out mailing list shows. They've fucking been involved in drama every day. Imagine if they were, it would be such a different story if they were just what if they just left if they were, on a cruise ship. I know, obviously not now, but if they were on a cruise ship, I think when you have to go, no cell data for a week, they'd come back and be like, what the fuck is going on? That's a real vacation where you just get away from all your worries. These guys are just stewing in their worries, and it sucks. It's not it's a well-deserved vacation, but their vacation is not being treated the way that it should be. The company's not respecting that at all. It's just, my conclusion from this, I guess, is it's just such a fucking clusterfuck. It's time for, I feel like, everybody to move on. I had said I wanted cooler heads to prevail. They've prevailed, and it's still not going away. Kirk isn't even doing a fucking show, and they're still fighting with Portnoy and them. Move on. I guess that's it. There's a lot of shit I still didn't get to today, so I guess maybe I'll tease for tomorrow. I think tomorrow's show, Stinman is gonna be back. I fucking hope so. Anyway, I get it. I mean, I'm recording stupidly early. I have a lot of shit going on, and I think we might have that Twitter account John the Bomb on too, which maybe that'll be funny. If he's boring, I'm gonna kick him off. Sorry, John. I know John from Scranton's still gonna come on at some point. We've got a lot of stuff in the works. I was gonna have fucking Manners on at one point, but apparently I'm on his ban list, and he's low hanging fruit. He's ignored. I did enough damage to him on Twitter yesterday, so I guess tomorrow there's still gonna be some Barstool stuff in there, because I still haven't even gotten to their deleted tweets, whether it was Viva La Stool, that dumb cut up Kirk thing that was it just wasn't funny. The fucking blowing up that building, and there's Ellie's dumb tweets. She's putting out a lot of really dumb shit. Rhea, twerking to that 6ix9ine song. I think I talked about, teasing that yesterday, and I still didn't get to it today. I wouldn't mind getting into that. And I saw, Twitter censoring Trump, saying that something he did is promoting violence, but somehow Ellie's fine. She's safe on Twitter. So, I mean, it's not that I care one way or the other. All I ask for is fucking consistency. And the other thing is this Rogan and Taco Bell both trying to be canceled, and I want to get to that too. It's just like that could be a whole show, so maybe I'll do that tomorrow. But this was kind of pressing, urgent, a really big change of what we thought was going on, or at least what I thought was going on with Barstool in the scenario that they're in, where I really just want them to fucking get the hell out of there at this point. Obviously, the NASCAR story was huge, so we reacted to that. And then just, the mailing list show. If you're not signed up for the mailing list yet, That's the other thing is I wonder, that there are losers signed up for the mailing list. Like he said, too, like there are definitely people who hate them that are signed up for the mailing list just to either bitch and complain or clip things and send it to Barstool. I'm so over this. I'm just so ready for them to go to subscription. So hopefully that's, I think that I'll finally shut the fuck up. It sucks. I wanted to keep this light and I couldn't, and that's my own fault as a host, but I have a lot of shit going on. So hopefully tomorrow will be a lighter show, just because I know, we like to laugh. As good as the show is when they're serious and, they're going after people, it's way more, or I should say it's way better when they go after people and they make fun of them and make light of how stupid they are, whereas I'm just kind of yelling and going on a tangent. So I get how that can wear on people, but it's just it's genuine, it's real. That's how it would script it. It would would be scripted, as if I was just personally coming out and just I had all these lines ready to go and all this other stuff, and it's just this is what it is. Great analysis, shithead. All right, I think when you say something like that, it's time to go. All right, guys, take it easy.